Hello and welcome back. I am Darkside Darkness and this is Confessions from the Darkside. It's actually Confessions from the Cranky side. And as you know, Judgment Day on Friday the 23rd of August was the final release of The Crow 2024. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way, shall we? And we're going to break down the 2-star reviews. We've already did the 1-star. Let's see how many other people have went to see the film and haven't enjoyed it, and let's see what the audience is scoring, and let's see what the audience is feeling. We are full of so much adult content that some of you may think this is unnecessary and some of you may think this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out, but I'll say this only once. If you can't stand the heat, then get the fuck out of my kitchen. Now for everyone else who likes what we have, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started, and are we ready? Well, like I said, what we're covering today, the elephant in the room, that is Bill Skasgard. Not only has he destroyed Pennywise by making it a comedy act, I have seen him as Eric Draven, and yes, he is the actor chosen to play the Crow, and now we have Judgment Day. That's right, it's here. Let's see what the media and the audience have to say. One of many podcasts about this. Let's delve in, shall we? What do you think of the portrayal of Eric Draven in the reboot of The Crow? Do you think we're being too harsh on and hard on Bill? Do you think I should wait and view, then judge? Or are you like me, not happy and with the constant reboots of movies that we grew up with? Ruining memory. That's what Holly Woke is doing, ruining memory for every person who enjoyed a movie from childhood. So let's see. We have Emmett Pressgrave, 2 out of 10, The Crow 2024, Flatlines. There is not much of a story or a plot. They try to get the audience to like Eric and Shelley, with that feels completely forced, and the audience has no connection to them whatsoever. We don't care that they die, and it's not really believable. He comes back from the dead because they fell in love with each other in a week. It's apparently supposed to be 48 hours, but hey, the bad guy is essentially owed something demon, or he's made a deal with the devil forever to get souls from people. Never really explains anything. It all leads up to 2 and anticlimactic showdown, and it falls flat once with no explanation of anything. The movie is trash. Joker from China. I have no idea. It's H. Risto as above. Is this a joke? Is this a real movie? I spent money for watching this. Oh, made in China Joker with cringe dialogue and phrases. This is not a horror movie. This is a drama romantic movie with a little action. CGI was like sometimes hit, sometimes a hit or miss. Some of this movie was actually like an action movie. Is this a dark action? Maybe with the Joker's return. Bill Skasgard actually was not bad, but everyone expected him to be terrible. Don't see the movie if you don't have free time and nerves. I expected more actually, but it was terrible. Too much drama moments and romantic moments. Sadly, I give 2 a 10. A complete mess storyline, awful. All wins up. This movie totally sucks. The biggest problem, the storyline. It never ever makes sense and is totally unrealistic. They think the audience is dumb or something. It's the most awful storyline I saw in the last couple of years and full of mistakes. I don't care about the whole not dying possibility, but it's all the rest of it. For example, my biggest issue is that the main character gets in love after like 5 words, and then they meet each other. 3 days, they treat each other like they've been married 10 years. What the fuck? And the whole movie conflict, why and how, is based on that summary and being 24/48 hours together. Idiots. I can sum up 50 more of the examples, but I won't do it. Next big problem, the script. Just cringe, especially the ending. I almost laughed at how bad it was. Zero good dialogue, and it doesn't add anything good to the movie. What was also very bad, the music, the scenes connecting with each other. Like, you get the feeling you fell asleep and missed something, but you didn't. The evil guy, the pace, first 45 minutes is very slow. The plot, more things, and what the heck? Buy a freaking shirt for the main character. Was the studio out of budget? Well, in the comic, he actually is shirtless. He just doesn't have all those tattoos. But hey, the idea of the crown, it could have had a lot of potential. The dark vibes, some action scenes. Well, just a 2 out of 10. Skip this one. It totally sucks. If it's not broke, don't fix it. This is from NKCDTC. If you had the pleasure of being able to watch The Crow in 1994 in a movie theatre, then to own the absolute fantastic soundtrack. Don't ruin it for yourself by seeing this poor excuse for a remake. It removes what the original film had so raw and startling and replaced it with comical violence and lazy storytelling. I had high hopes, but this fell lower than flat. For what took the original movie a matter of minutes to express a deep and moving love story, it took this whole film over an hour and it remained unconvincing. Add in a lazy trope for why the baddie was bad and you have a mess of a film. Bill Skasgard's talents were wasted and FK Twigs' talents remains to be seen. Worst casting ever. Save your money and stream the original. Totally agree. This crow should have heeded the words of the Raven nevermore. Let's dive into the positives which account for my 2-star rating. This is from Luna's How. As many reviews have already pointed out, the choreography is fantastic. The part I enjoyed most was Eric's fight scenes with the opera performance playing in the background. Now, apparently the police didn't hear it because of the music, but there was gunfire going off. You'd still be able to hear it even with the opera being on, to be fair. Sure, it's the typical concert climax trope, but the sequencing was pleasantly smooth and the trope was well executed. Additionally, it was a refreshing change to see what this version of Shelley had enough. That this version of Shelley had enough screen time to undergo something resembling character development rather than just meeting the stuff into the fridge fate like her original counterpart and many other female characters in cinema and comic. And again, it was if they actually feel if they did that with the original film, then it would be more as a love story rather than an avenging love story. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie was bad. Not the kind of bad that's so bad it's good, but the kind of bad that just is plain annoying. The voice-over lacks clarity at times. While I haven't seen this issue mentioned in other reviews, I feel like this movie suffers from the same issue that has plagued many films and TV series in the past few years. Let's call it mumbling syndrome. For example, I was genuinely confused when Eric and Shelley exchanged names, because why would they change Eric's name to Alex while leaving Shelley's name unchanged? Given the way the dialogue was delivered, I don't think my hearing or the movie theatre's sound was to blame for this misunderstanding. The characters are so flat that I didn't want to root for any of them, especially Eric. What do we know about this Eric? His beloved horse died when he was a child. He struggled with substance abuse. He fell in lust with Shelley while they were both institutionalised, and he had a friend with guns who was killed off by the demonic crime lord Goon. What do these traits say about him? He had a tough time. Question. And yes, I'm calling it lust, not love, because judging by the state of the decomposition or lack thereof of Zadie's body when she was discovered, it can't be more than 2 weeks from Eric and Shelley's meet-up cute moment to the day they were both killed. Is that what they're calling love now? On that note, I almost laughed aloud in the theatre when Eric chose a sword / katana for his revenge quest, a perfect metaphor for a raging boner, which makes perfect sense given how much of his time with Shelley was spent making out. Did I compliment this movie for giving Shelley a more active voice? Well, the movie balanced that out by practically deactivating all other female characters. Can you name one non-Shelley female character who actually had some character traits and did something other than making a phone call, going somewhere, or running away from somewhere? There's exactly one character, and that's Shelley's mom, Sophie. I had hoped she would have a confrontation with the antagonist when he visited her after Shelley's demise, perhaps even try to attack him, because she was grieving for her daughter and felt guilty for not giving her more support. But no, she was passive, staring into Shelley's picture and letting the antagonist use demonic power to kill her off. So disappointing. Where's the mama bear trope when we needed it? And the ending is much like more creepy version of Rose and Jack from Titanic. Eric sacrifices himself so Shelley can go on living a life that Eric was essentially be able to peek in on from time to time, as suggested by the dialogue. Congratulations, Shelley. Now instead of having a crime lord keeping tabs on you, you have a ghost partner keeping tabs on you while you do things like meet new people. What a wonderful life indeed to have a forever lurker. Maybe that's a thing, you never know. The Crow, more like the Woe, 2 out of 10. Would have been a good movie if it wasn't attached to the legacy of the Crow and Brandon Lee. Bullshit. Who must be turning in his grave? The acting was good, but the plot wasn't. There was no Sarah, no mystery, no sarky comments. I don't mind a reboot, but this really is dreadful. I have never scored a film below a 5 before, but felt it was needed. Me and my friends sat in the cinema laughing at how bad this was as if it was a comedy. No disrespect to the actors, as the plot was the problem. They turned the seedy underworld of Chicago from the original to a criminal enterprise, and the tattoos look like a 5-year-old's etch-a-sketch. Yeah. Some films should not be remade, just awful, which is RRTVTFMBK. To say it's a remake of the original movie is a crime. The actress who played Shelley was just terrible. The Crow didn't guide Eric, so no relevance to the Crow in the movie. Very poor baddie and no explanation as to who he was or the purpose in the film. Regardless of it being the Crow remake, it was very poorly put together as a film with awful castings apart from Bill. The stuff with Bill's been mixed. The killings were good, but that's all I can say is good about this awful film. To remake this cult classic and to do it so badly is so frustrating and disappointing. It got a 2 purely for Bill and the kill scenes. It should have been left as a standalone film and does not have the honour to be named after The Crow. I agree. If you want it like the original, don't go see it. Lil Jill, that's me. So, had this been a movie of its own making and not supposed to be based off the original, then sure, okay, it could have been a decent movie if you like demonic stuff. However, if you wanted it similar to the original, yeah, they totally ruined it and made it more demonic and ugly. Yes, I know the original had witchcraft in it, but this was too much. Not only too much, but it was really fake looking. When the so-called man of Satan whispered in their ear, first it looked like he was tonguing their ear and it just looked so fake when they showed it, really weird. And to make Shelley an instrument of the devil, really, come on, so disappointing. Also, the character of Eric tried too hard to be more like the Joker, and what of the little girl Sarah? Where is Sarah? They took a semi-sweet, I mean it's a revenge story where he goes on a killing spree, and made it an evil revenge story. They should have just made a new movie and not called it The Crow, and certainly not the same names and plot. Fail, Lionsgate, fail. I do feel that about Lionsgate, and we're going to have even more of them next year and then fail next couple of years. But hey, and there's Ramirez 13-2. It's all another cash grab. Agree. This might as well have been one of the straight-to-video sequels. It was actually worse than those, just with a higher budget and bigger names attached. Now, if you don't know what a straight-to-video release is, they did a lot of them in the 90s and the early 2000s, where you had your big blockbuster and then a straight-to-video version. The straight-to-video version usually had a smaller budget, a better story, with less of the more kind of famous or kind of B or C-list celebrities that were in it, and it actually made, a lot of the time, like, Stir of Echoes kind of was like Sixth Sense, and that kind of rebooted Kevin Bacon back into the stratosphere of Hollywood. He never disappeared really, but he was never really in anything great that really showed his talent, and when he did Stir of Echoes, people seen that he was still there, he still had it, and maybe we should do more things with him. So straight-to-video sequels or straight-to-video stories were a lot of the time better than the big blockbusters, in my whole honesty right there. There really isn't a story, some cool scenes, but completely unnecessary and overly focused on flashy scenes and devoid of substance. If I can say anything good, it is that Bill Skasgard does his best, and I said that for the start. Can he fucking blame Bill? He's just an actor doing his job, but even his efforts cannot redeem the overall shortcomings of the film and the filmmakers. Even the look feels wrong. I would relate this whole experience closer to interpretation of the Joker in the first Suicide Squad film. I agree. As odd as it sounds, I actually kept having moments that I felt that the movie was that. When he would be on screen and other characters, it seemed like it was just disruptive and badly developed by the creative team. Like being different just to be different. That actually goes for the whole film. It isn't horrible, but at the same time it is unnecessary, and seems they completely didn't understand what made the first film, a classic any more than the people who created City of Angels or Salvation, and especially Wicked Prayer. I suspected that this will rightfully be a complete box office bomb, and maybe will be the moment we finally let the franchise RIP. Well, we fucking hoped, but then we got all those sequels. In fact, some people said that Wicked Prayer is better, and I'm just like, really? Edward Furlong as the Crow is better than Bill Skasgard? Seriously, we're going there? Into the ether of nothing, this film goes single dash 123. As I expected, The Crow is dead on arrival. All it cost me was my time. However, I'm baffled how relatively simple story, one that is defined and driven by the themes of love, death and revenge, became a drawn out, convoluted narrative. Motives are unclear, questions raised with no answers, a timeline that is muddled, a cell phone MacGuffin, glacial pacing, characters wind up hollow outlines of anything memorable or frankly even developed. They're just there and you just don't care. Watching the film, spending so much time forcing and dragging out a relationship between Eric and Shelley in order to seduce the audience into caring about them simply fails. I just didn't care. didn't buy it. Watching bad guys being dispatched one by one becomes tedious and shoulder shrugging. I just didn't care. There is a giant hole in this film as the emotional weight that comes with grief and loss is simply missing. The Crow is anemic in style and flat and wonky in direction. I don't blame the actors, I blame the script. This $50 million scrappy indie movie is just a pointless pedestrian exercise in why into the aether of nothing this film goes. Lame old soundtrack too. Terrible version of The Crow, Johnny HBTVS 27. The wait for another decent Crow film continues. Which mean the wait for another decent one? There's only been one, the original. The Crow 24 is an epic failure on almost every level. I watched the previous Crow movies in anticipation for this and I wish I didn't bother. I'm surprised to see that Bill Skasgard is very poor in the lead and makes for a rubbish Crow. FK Twigs fails no better as a love interest and when she is dispatched, Skasgard struggles to maintain a presence. The film solely misses a Sarah-type character from the original and someone who Skasgard can relate to. Danny Huston plays the villain because of course he does, as well as he normally does, but surely it's time Huston played something other than a slimy character or a straight out bad guy. Rupert Sanders' directing leaves a lot to be desired and isn't helped any with the ending being choppy for the most part. There were rumours the Crow was having production problems for a long time now and it's evident on screen. One day a decent Crow movie will see the light of day. There is too much potential in the source material for there not to be. Until then I wouldn't recommend anyone watching this mess. Now Rupert Sanders again blamed goths, blamed the alternative culture, blamed everybody. He has also came out and said Bill didn't hate the ending in a new article I seen, and he's saying that that was basically bullshit and it was just written to basically cause drama before the movie that they had watched. Apparently they had watched like 20, maybe 30 different endings. That's how many different endings that Rupert Sanders fucking made. Because, I'm sorry, 1 or 2, maybe 5 at the most, right? 5 at most, having different endings, but you had that many. It's like, you knew the story was shit. He adapted a story that was already adapted from the original material in 2012, and the original guy wants nothing to do with it. When will people wake the fuck up? Rupert Sanders is shit. I've been saying it for fucking years. Please listen to me. Stop giving him money. Stop fucking funding these projects. Stop telling him yes that he's awesome, because he fucking has the biggest ego ever and he's shit. Look at what he's done. Hello, Snow White and the Huntsman, now The Crow, and even his Ghost in the Shell. Everybody says he literally tries to be something he is not, and he is failing. And the only person who can take the blame for this is him. No one else. No one else should have to take the blame for this. It is all him. But will he? Probably not. So I am very confused at this point. 2 out of 10. And the person is called K-Fab. I am very confused at this point, and I try to go into every movie with something positive, but after 20 minutes in the Crow remake, I don't know. First off, what's up with the pink prison outfit? What was that place, and how come it's a mixed prison? It's not a prison, it's rehab, but if it's court ordered, then I don't think it would be male or female. It's depending on if they're trying to depict this as a world right now, or it's a world in the future. I'm not entirely sure, because again, I don't think even Rupert Sanders is fucking sure. I guess this should not be considered a remake, but more of a new movie of some sort with the main character's name. Who writes those dialogues and scripts, I wonder? Did they even watch the fantastic original movie with Brandon Lee? They failed to capture everything that the original was. The dark city, the alternative music, the constant raining that made it such a fantastic ambience, because they were trying to show that this is like not hell, but they're trying to show a place that people live, that just because it's a horrible place doesn't mean that there's not nice people who live there, who want to continue to live there because that is where they're from. And they might not want to move because they're tied to there, because they, even though they're not happy, but it's like, you know, family and it's significant and all that carry on. And with the rain all the time, it was basically saying that they were kind of stuck in that place and they wouldn't actually be able to get anywhere else. Now they've tried to make Shelley like she's the instrument of the devil. It all seems to be about that, more supernatural than it is actually about the original story anyway. They feel I wanted to give this movie something positive, but sadly I can't, because there is not much to say apart from being confused and from being confusing, and they decide to escape the prison just like that, like it's nothing. Well, it deserves a bad rating. 2 out of 10 excruciating. Carrie Caden. I had doubts, many doubts. I wanted to give it a chance anyway, and lo and behold, it was just as disappointing as the other sequels. This should have been one of those. Not my Eric, not my Shelley. If they had been another couple put through the ringer of a Crow plotline, maybe I wouldn't have hated it so much. Why 2 stars though? There were glimpses of what made the original so impactful, so good gothy imagery that spoke to the teenager in me who loves a graphic novel and loves the 1994 film. Black leather, the sword, the rain. Skasgard really did commit to the role, but this one ultimately had no soul. I didn't believe for a second that this Eric and Shelley loved each other. It all felt shallow, even though they laid it on pretty thick. It's probably because they did lay it on really thick. Sin's Corner. Not good. To be honest, this might have worked better as something totally standalone with different characters in either not even part of the original Crow story or at all, or just a completely different set of characters. Attaching the original Crow lore or characters to this does nothing for the final product. Not only is the original story changed so much, but I couldn't even buy into this true love part of the relationship. The actress slash singer who plays his love interest was also not very good in the role, and some of the dialogue between them was so cringe I couldn't help but just sigh and roll my eyes. There was one thing that stood out as impressive, and that was the visual effects when he healed from injuries, which was certainly not enough reason to sit in a theatre for almost 2 hours with this waste of my time. Video review is currently live on my YouTube channel. Like we keep saying, you cannot save a movie with CGI. If the story is not good and the plot is not good, then you're still not going to get a good movie. And this is what I mean, when you've got a backstory and lore and an actual audience waiting. We weren't really waiting for a sequel or a remake because we prefer the original, but we know that Hollywood can't make anything new because they suck. We expected something, but from everything that was released, see, because they were overcompensating, I felt they were overcompensating with when they showed you the stills and all the different trailers that were coming out. See, when you get more than 2 trailers for a film, because you get a Comic-Con trailer usually, then a wee trailer just to tell you that it's coming for release and stuff. Maybe both trailers are put together, and then that's when you see it at the cinema when you're actually watching trailers of other movies. That's okay, but this had loads and loads of trailers, loads and loads of information, stills, the lot, because I think they've obviously tested it, and maybe they did test it and they thought by changing the ending or changing it up a little bit that it would be different, but Bill was angry with it, so I can understand why. Brandflakes4547, just why? First of all, there was no need to remake this movie. I agree. The first one was fine. Bill Skasgard is the most whiny attention seeker I've ever seen in a long time, and FK Twigs ought to be put inside a barrel and rolled into a volcano. She's terrible to look at and slightly less bad actress. Seriously, she is so distracting I couldn't focus on anything else. They referred to her as being ugly, which is not a nice thing to say about anyone. The movie was extremely forgettable with all the most generic elements and story beats put into one. The writing and dialogue was just bad. The story predictable. I can't get over how bad FK Twigs is though. Like, what does that name even mean? She's terrible at attempting to act and just nauseating to look at, and I will avoid anything she is in the future without a doubt. Now, we didn't even know who the fuck FK Twigs was. Apparently she's a musician, and she's a British musician. I was just like, who the fuck is she? Don't know who the fuck she is. Couldn't pick her out a lineup, and I thought it was a good thing that they actually picked someone who is a musician, who is starting out doing movies, and this would be like her kind of breaking role when she can learn from it. It doesn't seem that acting is her thing. It's kind of like when they put Dua Lipa and stuff, that yeah, she might be a talented singer. Again, I didn't know who the fuck she was either. She was in Argyle, she was a bit meh, but the whole film was meh. And she was in the Barbie movie, which I haven't seen and I don't intend to see it. Some musicians should not become actors just because they think that, yeah, that they do something else well, that they're good at it, because 9 out of 10 times they're not. Just poor. Ogmore59394. I've yet to see the original, but I'm excited to watch it. Oh my god, this iteration was utterly and totally useless. FK Twigs was cringeworthy on screen, just not ready to make the transition into an actress. The action scenes were good, but not enough to mask a weak narrative and weak performances. A villain who's poorly utilised to his potential, and a weak and easy victory for an ending. Hollywood, please read new scripts and stop remaking when unnecessary. Agreed. There are a few remakes that bring new life / take to a film, but this wasn't it. I wanted a gothic story with a reason for a remake, and this was just poor. So poor on so many levels. I obviously couldn't do better, as I'm not a multi-million-dollar back project with a creative team who could achieve so much better with a better reason to. The script was weak, the main characters lack so much. Again, you can have all the budget and all the people and everything and still churn out shite. You can have little to no budget, have a good script, and have people who are very good at their job like they do at Blumhouse. They have less budget and less kind of facilities, less things, attributes, but they can pull out a script that people want to see more of what Blumhouse does, basically. So smaller companies tend to have, they're like the kind of scrappy underdogs who don't always get the recognition they should get. And even if this was a small team that did this, they'd probably, and it still churned out this, then they'd have the same fucking reaction, but people probably wouldn't give it the time of day. It'd be one of those movies that literally maybe just showed once on release day, and that's it. Bill was built well and menacing in action and fight sequences. It worked, but purely because it was overkill violence to mask weak narrative that surrounded. The Crow was a no-show. Feel the truth. This movie was cursed from the start. All hardcore Brandon Lee Crow fans did not want this movie. I also loved the 1994 Crow movie in the cinema. It was one of the best movie experiences of my rebel teenage life. I tried so hard to give this movie a chance. I really did. But I have to say, this movie fails at every level. Some of the concepts were clever but poorly executed. The villain was not worth 2 pence. The couple of the hour, Shelley and Eric, made no sense to me. The reason for Shelley's death was poor. The movie is an hour and 50 minutes long, but it feels like 3 hours. The movie drags, mainly due to the movie's pacing being so uneven. The last 20 minutes is very good, but the rest doesn't save a movie. Wait for its release. So, even the 2 out of 10, some people are trying to be nice and not say bad things and just want to maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. But the movie has been out all weekend, and from what I saw from the original movie, how much it made, I've actually got a picture. I'm going to go into and take a picture of, yeah. So the original movie, when opening weekend, took 11.8 million and box office total was 50.7 million. The Crow City of Angels, which was like that sequel, it should have just have been called City of Angels, took in 9.8 million and took in 17.9 million. The Crow 2024 opening weekend 4.5 to 5 million, and the box office total is obviously to be determined because it's not been out for long enough. But if it's anything like Borderlands, it's going to be straight to streaming at less than a month probably after its release, and I don't think he even cares as long as he gets to make movies. I get that. I'd like to believe that he would maybe think, oh God, I should maybe do something else, maybe try and create something different, but no. Have you seen The Crow remake? Do you think that people are being too harsh? Do you think that it is better than the 1 and 2 stars? What is your opinion and review of The Crow 2024, or have you seen it? Are you going to see it? I'm Darcy Darkness, and that was Confessions from the Cranky Side, 2-star reviews. If you enjoy content like this, you can go over to our Confessions from the Darkside social media platforms, which is Twitter, which is X, Facebook group, Instagram, Buzzsprout, Amazon Music, Spotify and YouTube. And if you want to get to know us as individuals, I am Darcy Darkness and my channel is Behind the Mash Reviews, and I have a Twitch, an Instagram and a YouTube, and Lunar X Rising has a Twitch, a YouTube and an Instagram, and you can go if you want to contact us via email if there's anything you want to talk about or discuss or break down, or collaborate with us if you want to talk about things. If you want to discuss how bad The Crow is, please email us at confessionsfromthedarkside@gmail.com, or if you want to contact me personally, you can contact me via behindthemashReviews@gmail.com, and you can also contact Lunar at lunarxrising@gmail.com. And that was 2-star reviews. What do the audience and the public feel about The Crow 2024? And I'll see you in the next podcast later.